Welcome to another episode of the Go with John show. We have John Esposito with us. John, welcome.
Thank you.
So John, tell me about, how are you mostly known around town?
It's funny, the name of the store is Personal Touch Jewelers, but it's better known as John the Jeweler.
Right.
Go to John the Jeweler.
Yes.
Which is, fine with me.
Right.
The name Personal Touch actually came out of nowhere. It was my ability to do things for people. When I first started the business, and I'm talking about before I moved here, I was in New York for 17 years.
Right.
I always took on jobs that someone else either ruined or couldn't do. And, so I took on the challenge just in need of work, in need of money.
Right. Now, was this in jewelry or was this just in other trades? Okay.
Jewelry.
Okay.
I've been doing this. Tell me I don't look this old. But I've been doing it. September will be 51 years.
Wow.
50. I've been on my own since 1977.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. I did a 7-year apprenticeship, learned my trade, and was basically, you could do this on your own. You'll make more money. And I was afraid to. And I was basically given some accounts, and off I went. It was primarily wholesale in New York.
Right.
But I have 2 daughters, and I wanted out of New York. And I found out that through a cousin that Fairfax County had the best school system in the country.
Wow. And
I said, I want to move there. It took 2 years to convince my wife back then, and sadly, it is a sad story. I was known to set very large diamonds. The one time that the diamond belonged to me, it was stolen. No. I don't know how. It was taken off my workbench. I was in the diamond exchange. People say, they take an antenna with a piece of gum on it, and it was sitting on my workbench. I literally couldn't speak for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And that's when my wife said, this was when I wanted to come was 1985. I finally made it here in 87.
Wow. And,
of course, never found. I have an idea who may have taken it, but, you can't accuse.
Sure.
But it was a blessing. My commute from where I lived, it is called New City, New York. My commute into Midtown Manhattan, Rockefeller Center, Diamond District, was 33 miles.
Wow.
The ride here was very reminiscent of that bumper-to-bumper traffic.
Oh, you're talking about today, to get here today. Yeah.
Today, the ride here, I was like, wow. I don't, because my commute now is 7 miles.
Right, and you live in Clifton and your store's in Clifton.
In Fairfax. Basically, the last street of Fairfax City.
Which street are you on in Fairfax City?
Germantown Road.
Okay.
The highway in Germantown Road.
Okay, I know it well.
So, I basically go down Braddock Road to Clifton Road, and I'm home.
Yeah, nice.
7 miles.
Yeah, didn't mean to scar you like that by bringing you in here today.
Basically, I had a tremendous concern for my kids. So, because I grew up in Brooklyn. My first daughter was born in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And I wanted out, and
was it the crime? I mean, what drove you out?
No, honestly, no. I lived in if there's such a thing as I was living in a good part of Brooklyn.
Right.
What's amazing is that house, I bought it in 1980 for $51,000. It sold last year for $1.2 million.
Isn't that crazy?
It had a closet-sized bathroom on the second level.
Right. No bathroom on the main level.
I can't imagine it was more than 1,200 square feet.
Right. Do you remember what you sold it for in 87?
I actually sold it in 83.
83, okay.
And I thought I did so well because I sold it for 105.
Right. Doubled your money.
I doubled my money, and then I bought a house in New City, New York.
Yep.
Which, like I said, is 33 miles from my job in Midtown Manhattan. And that was tough. That was having 2 jobs. I would leave at 6:20 in the morning to be there sometimes at 8:30.
Wow. Wow.
8:15 at best.
Yep.
It was a long haul because going in, you had to pay a toll.
Right.
And by the way, the toll back then was $2.
Yeah. What's it today?
I think today it's either 13 or 17. I don't know which is which.
That'll get you.
Oh my gosh, and I rode a motorcycle into Manhattan many days of the year.
Yeah.
And it was only $1.
Right.
Motorcycles got in for half. Now
Right, because you only 2 wheels.
But now they pay the same.
Do they?
Now they pay the same.
Yeah. So how did you get into the jewelry business?
Oh gosh. My parents came here in 1955, which is the year I was born. I was in my mom's belly, so I was conceived in Italy and born here. My dad was a tenor. In the opera, opera was a big thing back then. So
Yes.
the opera would come here for 2 years at a time, leave my mom for 2 years at a time. I have a brother who is 14 years older than me. So he would leave them for 2 years at a time. So they would come in, they would basically, the opera would play from the Catskills down to Miami. And then one of the tours, he decided that they were going to move here. And his sister blazed a trail to Brooklyn, and he set up the arrangements and they went back to Italy. They had to finish the tour in Italy. Long story, we're in Brooklyn. So the other sad part of this is that my father made all these arrangements. My mother was pregnant. They wouldn't grant him a visa once he was done to come over. My father didn't see me till I was 2.
Wow.
So my older brother, I call, at 18 months, years of age, whatever, I'm calling my brother Dad.
Wow.
Anyway, my point is that, immigrant parents, they really didn't have a lot of money. So I started working at a very young age. Do you remember the company Fuller Brush?
No, I don't.
Fuller Brush was a company that sold a variety of brushes.
Okay.
And I went door to door. And I don't recall how old I was. I was probably 13.
Yeah.
And you're going to laugh at this. I only worked for them long enough to buy my first mini bike.
Is that
which
right?
was $100. Virgin Stratton mini bike. But when I was in high school, preparing for college, I needed a car. There was no way my parents were going to flip for that, So what's really comical is I bought a 1963 Pontiac Tempest. It was $150.
And that car was featured, I think, in the movie My Cousin Vinny.
Well, no, that was I think like a 67. That's when it was a cool looking car.
A couple years later. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my insurance, because I was young, doesn't sound like a lot today. It was
Right.
$600 a year.
Right.
Back
more
then
than
you
the
made
car.
$2 an hour.
Right.
So I worked at a grocery store, an Italian grocery store. I was cutting cold cuts
Yeah.
on the machine.
Yeah.
I was stocking. I was delivering. I would
Right.
get paid. Even back then, it was 5 cents a bottle. People would give me 5 bottles to take back, and they'd make a quarter for the delivery.
Yeah.
Well, my brother worked in the Diamond District. After high school, that's what he did. He went and did an apprenticeship. So, do you remember the movie The French Connection?
Yes.
My high school was filmed right up the block from my high school.
Right.
And that train, that we used to call it the elevated train, would take me into Manhattan because my brother decided that I should be a gopher in the jewelry business and I would make more money. So I did that. And then I sat down at a bench and learned my trade. By trade, I'm a diamond setter. That's what I am. And that's how I made a living. I made, like when I said, when I finished my apprenticeship and they gave me 5 accounts, basically 5 manufacturers who gave me the gold, gave me the diamonds, whatever it was, a ring, a pendant, earrings. I set it. It was basically piecework. If I said 100 diamonds, I got paid to set it. And back in those days, it was 75 cents a diamond to set.
Wow.
But I made a living.
Yeah.
And
How long did it take you to set a diamond?
It depending on the type of diamond, if it was like, back then, diamond hearts were very popular. I remember this one particular heart had 20 diamonds in it. I could set that in a half hour.
Wow.
But then you'd have things that were pretty intricate that took time. Setting one diamond could take as much as 10 minutes, 7 minutes.
Right.
So, but I did it. I did it for a long time. And then I decided, basically on my own from 77 to 87, basically doing diamond setting. And I was really, really good at my craft that I remember one day in my career, my mortgage, I'll never forget this, my mortgage payment was $630 a month. I'd love to have that today. And I got $10 a carat to set a diamond. So if I set a 1 carat diamond, I made $10.
Doesn't seem fair. Because how much did a 1 carat diamond cost?
Back in those days, it could have been $2,000, $3,000, depending on the quality.
Right, they could have paid you $20.
But I worked he was my mentor, Leon Fryman. I loved him. I used to call his wife Mom. Leon was, without a doubt, I really don't know for a fact, but he had to be one of the, or if not the largest diamond guys in the world. So this particular day, I set 3 10-carat diamonds.
Wow.
3 10-carat. I called up my wife and I said, I just made half our mortgage payment in probably an hour and a half. I mean, I set a diamond for him once. Oh my God. No insurance. This is a diamond trading in the trade. It wasn't being sold yet. It was $1,200,000. And good old Leon and the guard were there. Well, I did it. It was a sky blue 702 pear shape.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. So, I was known to do that kind of work. And that's when it happened. My 3 carat, 302, I'll never forget. I can identify that diamond today if I saw it.
Really?
I could. I really could.
Wow.
And it was my pride and joy because it was something that, it was my first large purchase, and it was meant to buy and trade, and it was gone. It was gone. So that was kind of the absolute moment in my life where I was like, wow, I am very vulnerable. I didn't realize it, I commuted into Manhattan by motorcycle a lot. I put 52,000 miles on a motorcycle in 3 years from New City. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yep.
And I never felt vulnerable. I never, I'm going around taxi cabs, and I never felt it. Never, ever. But when that diamond was gone, I was like, wow. So, but like I said, God sent, came to Virginia, and I still love it. I don't regret it. I have now lived here longer. I'm here longer than I lived in New York.
That's crazy.
I'm here 35 years in May. So.
Yeah. Good story. We just wrapped up a great conversation with Ray Greenstreet with greenstreetgardens.com. Take a listen to his episode. You're going to really hear how passionate he is about gardening. If you have questions about gardening, send it to inthedirt@greenstreetgrowers.com. If you want to visit his retail website, check him out at greenstreetgardens.com. Ray Greenstreet. Great story, great product, 3 locations, 1 in Maryland, 2 in Virginia. You can find them online. When you get in touch with them over there at Green Street, let them know that you heard them here on the Go With John show. So how do you maintain your high level of, you obviously have a passion for jewelry, and you have a passion for business. You have a passion for a lot of things. You have a passion for motorcycles and antique cars, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But talk about how do you build your business and keep your customers happy? How do you keep pushing yourself to the next level?
I I don't push myself to the next level. It's my customers that push me to it's unbelievable. I don't advertise. You know, just however many years we've been on Facebook, you know, we'll post things I've made.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't do any advertising. It's just, you know, someone will come in and so recommended you, you know. I don't know what else, you know. I get advertisers that call me. What do you mean you don't need more business? I said, no, I'm doing fine. They don't want to hear that, you know.
Yeah.
But and I remember years ago, I do a bracelet. I have to say I past tense because it's too expensive now. But I did a bracelet with children's names on it in gold. So if you're a family of, you know, 4, you would have mom on each end and the kids in the middle. Just little tiny gold. The letters were probably, oh gosh, you know, we do everything in metric in the jewelry business. So each letter was probably 6 millimeters. I would give that bracelet away to whoever wanted it for their fundraiser, whether it be, you know, a school, whatever the fundraiser was.
Right.
But the bracelet had my children's name on it. So that person who won it would have to come in with it so I could make it with their names. That was the best advertising I ever did. It really was. It was a charitable cause.
Right.
And I made a customer too, because once they came in the store, in other words, if you give away something that you make, they win it, but they'll never come see you.
So do you make everything you sell?
Oh, you know, I would say more than 70%, but there are things that are made by machine, like Italian gold chains.
Right.
Men's wedding bands are made on a lathe.
Right.
I'm trying to think, you know, basically anything that's machine made.
Right.
You know, I don't do. And there are things that I do that are machine made, but I do it better.
Right.
It's funny, one of the things that I used to make when I was a diamond setter as a living was, it's called a channel wedding band or an anniversary band. That's where the diamonds are in the middle and there's a wall on each side.
Yep.
Oh my God, I must have set, I can't, hundreds, thousands of them. Now there's a machine that does it.
Yeah.
And it does it better than me.
Oh, boy.
When I first saw it, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. But now when I sell one of those bands, it's machine made.
Wow.
You know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It really, truly, truly is amazing. But honestly, it's been, you know, this whole idea of Instagram and Facebook and, you know, a young guy comes in now, he hands me a picture from his phone. He says, this is what she likes. And I make it. It's that simple.
Wow.
You know, in the old days, you know, he would conjure up an idea and, you know, I wouldn't know the percentage, but I would say 75% of the time the woman was satisfied. But I've had, you know, I use this a lot. You know, a woman will come in and say, you know, I've had this on for 10 years. I've hated it from the day I got it, but I didn't have the heart to tell him.
Right.
Oh, that would break my heart.
Right.
You know, he spent his money, my time, my experience, you know, and sure enough, I don't think that happens anymore.
Right.
Not too long ago, hopefully they're not listening, I made a ring and it was small. She loved it. The size, not the finger size, but the ring itself.
Sure.
Not the diamond. The center diamond was fine, but she wanted a bigger scale of that ring, and I did it, and she's thrilled. She's thrilled, you know. Basically, a person that comes in usually has an idea. You know, I call my store a destination location.
Right.
I've always wanted to change that, but I'm not kidding. I've never found a location that I liked better. Or I should say better. Like I wanted to move to Fairfax Corner. I loved it. I wanted to move to Reston Town Center.
Yeah.
I loved it. Reston Town Center was, I couldn't bite the bullet. The rent was just so much money.
Yeah.
I was able to, you know, I even had a contract in front of me to sign a lease for Fairfax Corner, and I realized that it is also a destination location, and I would have to work much harder because the rent was higher.
Yeah.
So I never moved.
Yeah.
I've been there, good old A.J. Dwoskin Properties. I've been there for May will be 35 years.
Wow. Well, I can tell you have a lot of passion for making people happy. You can't see your face, obviously. We're just doing an audio recording. But when you talk about how happy she was when you made her ring, your face is glowing. Just for the folks listening.
I've got to tell you this. 1999. I met a gentleman. To back up, we rode. If you know what a Yamaha R1 is. It's an incredible, back in the day, it was the fastest bike. It was incredible. And I met this gentleman that made it's called an undertail enclosure. So you took away that plastic black fender and you put this under, it was made in France. You took this and it was painted, and it really finished off the back of the bike. Long story, he and I became very good friends. To the point where I went to Europe with him. And the motorcycle show in Europe is unbelievable. But to shorten this, he expressed to me, because he was making a lot of money, he expressed to me, I wake up to make money.
Yeah.
And John, I am not kidding you. I pondered this for 3.5 days. Why do I wake up? And I actually came up with that. I wake up to make people happy.
Yep.
When I make people happy, I'm happy.
Right.
So right. It's not that I'm so generous. I need it.
Yeah.
I need it for my personal life.
Yeah.
I need it for my business life. And of course, in my business life, I make people happy. I make a living.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are so many jewelers around that make so much more money than I do. Am I envious? Yeah, slightly, but I'm not willing to work that hard. I put my heart and soul in everything I make. I could never do $4 million a year that I hear.
Right.
Most of that is, I'm going to guess, is manufactured. When I worked for a manufacturer, gosh, I'd have an envelope. I was telling you about Diamond Hearts. I'd have 20 of those diamond hearts. When I opened the loose diamonds, my tray would be like a mountain of diamonds.
Yeah.
Where did they all go? They went to all the different stores in the country. Whereas, sure, they have a salesperson. They sell that item over and over and over. Whereas for me, I may make an item and I may not make it again.
Yeah, and that's why you call your store
Personal Touch.
There you go, John the Jeweler.
Personal.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're with John Esposito, and we'll be right back with more conversation. We're going to talk some motorcycles when we come back.
Yes, I want to.
A lot of folks think that building a custom home is a complicated and arduous process. It doesn't have to be. At Stanley Martin Custom Homes, we have the process down to a science. We will bring you through the buying, design, and building phase one step at a time. Head on over to webuildonyourlot.com and check us out. Reach out to us if you want to get started on the path to your very own Stanley Martin custom home. We are back, still chatting with John Esposito. Thanks again, John, for coming in. I'm really enjoying our time together.
This is lots of fun. This is, honestly, John, you're a nice guy. This is lots of fun.
Yeah, you're a nice guy, too. So, and Nick is nice most of the time.
And Nick is a nice guy.
We got to work him into every show, at least once, right?
Appreciate that.
Yeah. So in the elevator ride up, we were talking about motorcycles, and I asked you what's your favorite motorcycle, and you said
that question is posed to me over and over, almost daily.
Yeah.
And because it is my passion, but it is my mood. I tell people, I usually make that decision when I'm in the shower. I'm closed on Sundays and Mondays, and I do my riding on Sundays and Mondays. I've gone cross country, but the favorite motorcycle of the day is the mood I'm in.
Right.
And I was telling you, when there are motorcycles that take a lot of energy. You know, I have old bikes. I love working on them.
So tell me about one of your old bikes.
Right now, I have a 1946 Indian on the lift. Basically, doing a tune-up, changing. You know,
Right.
this is so old.
And you do it all yourself?
And I do it all myself.
Yeah.
Talk about energy. This motorcycle, you know, it's 1946. It's not only that it's running on drum brakes, but they're small drum brakes.
Right.
You know, motorcycles of the past stop primarily with the back brake, whereas today's motorcycles stop more than 70% of the front brake.
Wow.
So it's another skill.
Yeah.
To ride.
Yeah.
You know, this particular motorcycle they refer to it as a suicide clutch, you know, so your clutch is on your foot and your shifter is on the side of the tank. You know, so that in itself, if you were interested in motorcycles, that in itself, and you bought one, there's a learning curve to learn
Right.
how to ride that motorcycle. And, you know, I got to tell you, I have a 42 Harley. You know, they were competitive against each other, you know, who's going to make the sale, you know. Harley made it simply because the government bought Harleys, you know, municipalities bought Harleys, and it put Indian out of business.
Right.
If I got it right, I think Indian went out in 52. You know, when one of the things about the Harley is a 4-speed. The Indian is a 3-speed, you know, so they were ahead of the game there. But Indian had a rear suspension. Harley didn't put a rear suspension till 1958.
Wow.
But, you know, you had that pogo stick seat.
Yeah.
You know, so you did have a you know.
Springs
I guess
on the
they
seat,
can't
yeah.
see me on the podcast.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
bouncing in my chair.
Right.
But, and the Indian is a lighter bike. The Indian is actually maneuvers better.
Yeah.
You know. But I do like riding the Harley more.
Yeah.
There's something about the posture of the Harley. Posture is almost the same, but there's something a little different, whether it's a wider bar on the Harley.
Yeah. There is something. I've ridden a lot of bikes in my day, mostly Hondas and Yamahas. And last year I bought my first Harley. I bought a brand new 21 Road King. And the first time, you know, when I'd never even ridden a Harley, never sat on one, because I couldn't afford it. So why torture myself, you know? And it is an amazing bike. It is. It's incredible. It's not at all like you would expect. And
you know, it's one of those motorcycles. I had one. It's one of those motorcycles where it may be heavy to get off the stand, but once you release that clutch,
Yeah.
it goes through the twisties. You know,
Yeah.
people don't realize it. You know, I have sport bikes. You know, I guess the sport bike of my favor is Ducati, and I have quite a few Ducatis. Very old. I have a 1959. You know, in 1959, the largest Ducati was a 200 cc.
is that right?
1958, it was a 175.
Wow.
By 1962, it became a 250. They raced these motorcycles. I have one that's all the energy in the world I put in that bike, way over, you know, what it's valued at today. But it's, I'm like a monkey on a tricycle when I ride it. It's really small, but I love it. I love it. You know, one of the first bikes that I bought that was old was a 1969 BMW. It's called an R69S. Boy, have they gone up in value.
Yeah.
I bought that bike from a biology teacher. I'll never forget it. He had it set up. He took it to school every day. He put Japanese big turn signals on it. He made it so it would be safe.
Right.
I remember taking it home and pulling all that stuff off. You know, the mufflers had rotted through, and he welded, I'm not exaggerating, a coffee can, or somebody did it for him, a coffee can over the hole, you know, wrapped it around.
Right,
the,
right.
You know, that 1 pound coffee can. But I rode that bike from here to Laconia. Laconia is New Hampshire. 639 miles one way.
Wow, that's a long ride.
On a bike that seriously brakes are very poor.
Mm-hmm.
That has no low-end torque whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But once you're at 60, 65 miles an hour, you can go forever.
Mm-hmm.
If you know anything about engines, you know, it has a very, very heavy flywheel. So when you let go of the gas, you can do 65 miles, I'm not exaggerating, for another 3-4 miles.
Wow.
It would just coast forever. I still own it.
It's funny all the different personalities that equipment has.
Yeah,
You know,
that's the pleasure of, you know, you've got the fellow that is. I met someone last year. He's got a Honda collection to die for.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Die-hard Honda. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
you know there are die-hard Harleys.
Mm-hmm.
But I love them all. I love working on them all.
Mm-hmm.
I probably would be so incredible if I just stuck to one brand as a mechanic.
Right.
But and I know someone that's got a BMW collection that is beyond comprehension, millions of dollars.
Now, you know, the BMWs, I have an opportunity to ride a few of those, and those are incredibly smooth riding bikes. You almost don't feel like you're on a motorcycle. It's bizarre.
Yeah. Which, in some cases, that's great.
Yeah.
In some cases, you want to, you know, my daughter did horseback riding.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when you're green, when you're brand new at it, you want a horse that's very trained.
Yes.
But once you know what you're doing, you want to be able to train the horse.
Right.
So you want a horse that's, for lack of term, disobedient. You know, and that's motorcycling too. You know, again, my mood when I don't feel like I have a Triumph, it's as smooth as a BMW, if not smoother.
Really?
I push that button. It takes no energy to ride it. In other words, it just goes.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times when I can't ride it. It's boring. It's too boring. I want something that, you know.
The suicide clutch.
Yeah. But I do something called Bikes and Breakfast. Have you heard of it?
I know, but I saw that on the information that you sent over. So tell us about Bikes and Breakfast.
Bikes and Breakfast was started by my best buddy, Dale, in New York.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything I miss, it's his family is my family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our kids grew up together. And we used to go to a place called Marcus Dairy in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
Our children were infants. We would get up at the crack of, you know, just get out there before 6 o'clock in the morning
Mm-hmm.
and ride out from New York to Marcus Dairy, Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
All these wonderful back roads. And we would be home before the kids were even up. It was amazing. And we did that. And I want to say we started that we went there. I remember this guy, Mark, who had a BMW. We rode BMWs in those days. It was three of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget, breakfast was corned beef hash and eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it was so good. It became so popular that on a given Sunday, 2,000 motorcycles.
Wow.
So I can't say that we started that, but I think we started the trend.
Right.
Well, Marcus Dairy's gone. And 2013, Dale decided he wanted to try doing it near where he lives. And it took off. Called it Bikes and Breakfast. We have a great logo. The logo is trademarked, but we give it to anybody that wants to start a Bikes and Breakfast. So in 2014, I did it here in Virginia, in Old Town Clifton.
Mm-hmm.
And probably not well liked by the residents. But, of course, the two breakfast places, the Clifton Pub and the crepe place next door, they do an incredible business.
Mm-hmm.
We're there from 8 to 11.
Mm-hmm.
And
How often do you do it? What day a week?
for mine, I do it's the second Sunday of every month.
Okay, so once a month, all year long.
all year long. And it's coming. You should come this Sunday. I think the weather is going to allow it to happen.
I think it's going to happen.
Last month, there was ice and snow. And I send out an email the Thursday before the Sunday. And I say,
Right.
please come in 4 wheels, but bring a motorcycle model.
Yeah.
And we did. There were only like 12 of us.
Right, right.
I think there were 13 of us. But
Yeah.
And we laid the motorcycle models where we would park the bikes, and we got on the ground and took photos.
Oh, that's great.
So if you go to our Bikes and Breakfast website,
Which is?
just plug in Google Bikes and Breakfast.
Okay.
And then once it's up, we now have 3 places in New York, 2 places in Pennsylvania, 2 places in Maryland. No, one. Well, Maryland, his name is Jim Brown. Jim does it the first Sunday and the third Sunday. He used to be the mayor of Poolsville.
Okay.
Now he's a real estate agent.
Right.
I don't know if that name rings a bell.
The football player, Jim Brown. Yeah.
Yeah. Nicest guy in the world. He
Yeah.
really is a nice guy. Then we have Virginia. We have Fredericksburg. We had Richmond. That didn't go well. Virginia Beach. Of course, Clifton. And believe it or not, we've got a gentleman who came to mind. He does it in the Philippines.
Wow.
And you would think the Philippines, they ride mopeds.
Yeah.
No, they ride Harleys, they ride Ducati, they ride Triumphs, they ride motorcycles.
Right.
And he does it. He's got a business. I've got to express this because he's the only one that makes money. There is no monetary value in this. I hope they're listening. I don't even get a free cup of coffee. Anyway, his name is James. And sadly, his Bikes and Breakfast, because of COVID, has been shut down for a very long time.
Now, where is James?
In the Philippines.
Okay.
And he is now reopened. But James has a building. And inside that building, he's got a barbershop, repairs motorcycles, sold accessories, sells accessories like motorcycle helmets, jackets.
Right.
An eatery. So his breakfast, he's serving it. He's making the money. And I think because of Bikes and Breakfast, he got a couple of franchises.
Wow.
So he does well. He's the only one that
He's an
makes
innovator.
money. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He definitely is an entrepreneur. Because when I met him, he came here he wanted to start a motorcycle riding school in the Philippines. So he came here to learn. So and then when he came to my bike, I don't know how we got invited, but he came and speaks English extremely well. And I said, sure, just take the logo and go with it, So if you know what Cars and Coffee is,
Yeah, absolutely.
Cars and Coffee started in California.
Right.
And comes all the way east.
Right.
Right. And we have the best Cars and Coffee in Great Falls.
Been to it many times.
Oh, it's just unbelievable.
Yep.
I say it's better than any car show.
It is. It's amazing.
So
Yeah.
Bikes and Breakfast has started on the East Coast, and we're pushing to get it to go all the way to the West Coast.
Yeah, fantastic. That's very unusual because almost everything starts on the West Coast and rolls its way, building trends.
They have their meetups, they have their gatherings, but under the heading of Bikes and Breakfast.
Yeah.
But
fantastic.
so we have a website. If you wanted to go all the way back to 2013, there are photos of every gathering all the way up to present.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We'll take a look.
The gathering started, the whole idea behind the gathering is that my peers, we have multiple motorcycles. So the gathering started as I think it says classic and antique motorcycle gathering, but everyone is welcome. So
wait, if I only have one bike, I can still come. I don't have to have 4.
Of course. The Clifton Pub.
Yes, familiar
is
with it. Yeah.
a cute little restaurant pub. They got a liquor license a while ago now, so they do very well. You serve booze, you're gonna have a clientele base.
Yeah.
Because it was more of a grocery store, and of course you can get a sandwich. But now it's a true restaurant. Small but. And the owner, Tom, sadly he's passed away. I said, Tom, I want 2 parking spots. Can we put cones on 2 parking? I says, we're going to have, I had at maximum 10 motorcycles. That first gathering, May of 2014, I had 248 motorcycles. And you say, how did you do that? I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
I just put it out there.
Yep.
And like I said, the residents, I had to go to a town council meeting. And I came up with my defense. Whether it won or whether they could tell me yay or nay, I can't have motorcycles there.
Right.
I said, there's over 8,700 hours in a year. And at best, we have motorcycles in town 21 hours a year. The summer months is where we get the big groups.
Right.
Like this coming, we'll probably at best have 15 motorcycles. We'll see if I'm wrong, but I'm hoping I'm wrong. So I'll never forget it. The mayor sat in the middle, and there was all the people on the board across that table, and I'm sitting, and the only defense I had was what I just told you, and I had one of the restaurant, the son, Tom's son, there, and I had one woman who would say, "Oh, you guys never shut off your engines." I said, "No, that's not true, you know, and you never wear helmets." And that's not true, Anyway, so.
But so if you're not wearing helmets, that would be a question for law enforcement. I mean.
And the fact that, there were, I can't police people.
Right.
I am not there to tell them what to do or what not to do. We're there to have a good time for 3 hours.
Yeah.
The reason why I canceled it out, I wanted it to end at 11 is we have a cool little church in town, and their first service started at 11. Now, sadly, and I know one of the pastors, now that service starts at 10:30. I said, I feel so guilty. He says, nah, it's no problem. So, but, people that have been living in town for 30 years, people have discovered Clifton.
Yeah.
They live in a townhouse or a condo, and they need to get out, and they discovered the town of Clifton.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Oh, the street is but I got to be honest, when Bikes and Breakfast on a good summer day, it is...
Something?
Oh, my God. You can't find a spot for a motorcycle by 9 o'clock.
Amazing. Well,
So
congratulations.
You've got to come.
Congratulations. We'll check it out. So, John Esposito, thank you so much for coming in and sharing stories with us today. Is there anything you want to add before we wrap up?
Oh, my gosh. I'm not exactly sure why I'm doing a podcast. I was invited to do it, and I said, sure. If it's to promote my business, hey, that's great. If it's to come to my Bikes and Breakfast, that's great. Come visit.
Will do.
Both places.
Will do. Absolutely. John, thank you for coming in. We enjoyed the chat.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We just wrapped up a great conversation with Ray Greenstreet with greenstreetgardens.com. Take a listen to his episode. You're going to really hear how passionate he is about gardening. If you have questions about gardening, send it to inthedirt@greenstreetgrowers.com. If you want to visit his retail website, check him out at greenstreetgardens.com. Ray Greenstreet. Great story, great product, 3 locations, 1 in Maryland, 2 in Virginia. You can find them online. When you get in touch with them over there at Green Street, let them know that you heard them here on the Go With John show.